Hi,
Hi.
I'm Brad,
And I'm Kels.
and we're BK Book Club.
Whoop whoop.
Welcome to episode 11.
Welcome.
Oh, come on. There we go. Today we are recording chapter 10, or episode 10.
No, episode 11.
Oh, sorry, episode 11. I'm fine. Everything's fine. This is episode 11, chapters 18 through 36 of A Court of Wings and Ruin. I can't remember when we said to stop in the last episode, so...
Because I did the math wrong. I said that 175 plus 175 was 325, I think, but it's definitely 350.
And because 350 stops in the middle of a chapter, we actually read all the way up to chapter 36. So if you haven't read the last, I think it's like 2 chapters-ish.
Yeah.
Stop now, read them, and then hit pause.
Yeah.
I mean, hit play.
Through 35.
Yes, we read all the way through 35. But yeah.
How was your week?
Well, before we do that, let me see the line so I can tell everyone. Today we're doing Misfits and Mavens. It's a 2023 Sauvignon Blanc. And
it's delicious.
It is like biting into a nice crisp apple in all of the best ways.
Yeah, it's
not too sweet.
Real delish.
Not too tart and not too dry. But Kelsey, what did you make for dinner?
I made Cornish game hen, and that was on the side was Brussels sprouts and sweet potatoes.
And it was delicious.
Yeah.
And it was my first Cornish hen, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm going to make soup tomorrow, like a chicken and basically a chicken noodle soup, yeah.
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 Heck yeah.
And with those onions that were all in there.
If you save the carcasses, you can make a stock. Yep. That's what I do.
Love it. Love it, love it.
Yeah. So my week was long. We recorded last Monday, and then I basically stayed up from Wednesday until Thursday evening because I had a red eye to Pittsburgh, where I met up with a couple more of my gaming friends, and we all went to our mutual friend's wedding that I officiated, which was nice.
So fancy.
I know. On Thursday, with no sleep, because I can't sleep on planes, I have tried.
I'm the same way.
I cannot. On Thursday, we went to the Museum of Natural History, and then we went to the Botanical Gardens which is Pitt's Conservatorium, I think is what it's called. All really cool places. Been there before, but love the experience to do it again. And then we went back to the B&B and just took naps.
Love it. Love it.
And then the grooms of honor were coming in that night. So we actually met up with them because when they flew in, we just basically met up with them at a hotel, grabbed some drinks and some food. Because one of them, oddly enough, I hadn't met in person yet.
Oh.
So yeah, Jace was the only one I hadn't met in person. Everybody else in our group I had at least met once.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. We got to all like meet and like see each other for the first time in person, even though we've been playing video games together for most of us, it's been for 5 years. But
that's so funny.
Yeah, for everybody else, it's like
so fun.
A range between 3 to 4 and whatever. But yeah. And I finally went to bed, which was very nice. Friday, we ended up going to the zoo, which was nice. We even rode like e-bikes to it, which was cool and fun. It was a little bit of chaos. And
I love the e-bike. I love the little scooters too.
Yeah, I want to try the scooters. Now that I've done the e-bike thing, I haven't done them yet.
We should wine taste and scooter ride.
Twist my arm.
I know.
And then Saturday was the wedding, which was cool, and got there a little early to help set up, and then officiated it and all that stuff, which was fun. And then I had a 8 o'clock flight on Sunday, so I was up 5 o'clock.
8 a.m.
Yeah.
Everybody, 8 a.m. after a wedding.
The wedding ended at 10. I went to bed somewhere between 12 and 1. Had to be up at 5. And this is all East Coast time, and I'm a West Coast boy. And then got back in Oregon for 2 in the afternoon. I got home.
Read my text messages and then didn't reply.
Listen, My social battery was on E. The only reason I looked at my phone and saw your text message is because I was looking at the time and to see if my Uber was there. And then I went home, took a 2-hour nap, woke up to make dinner, ate a little bit of dinner, and then slept from 8 o'clock last night until 8 o'clock this morning. And then I'm here.
And now you're here.
And now I'm here. How was your weekend? Or your week from last Monday to this today? Because this is the first time we're like a full 7 days apart.
Yeah. I'm trying to Tuesday I worked. Wednesday I went to a comedy show. Laura something. She does impressions. She was really funny.
Mm-hmm.
My friend Jessica had bought tickets and then her partner couldn't go, but then she ended up not being able to go because she flew back home. So Whitley came with me.
Aww.
And it was really fun. It was, yeah. And then I think besides that, I just had work and work was good. I finally met everybody that I work with. Because there was one girl that doesn't, I guess, work that much. So but I met her. She was nice. Everyone's,
yay.
Yeah, just working. Everyone's nice too. So
which is
no
ideal.
complaints.
Yeah. You don't want to work at a place where you don't like any of the people that you're working with. So it's good that you've got that. Yeah. So today we're gonna recap and ask questions at the same time, as opposed to some of the other ways that we've done it, because
we're still just figuring out what is the best way.
I kind of like this ideal better.
I think we're gonna like this, especially because
it breaks it down by chapter.
Yeah, and
which is nice.
That's how I take some notes.
That's how she takes notes, and that's how I end up going on tangents about something happening in 6 chapters from now, even though I'm supposed to be talking about what's happening in this chapter. So
but that's okay.
Trying to keep it a little more cohesive, but don't forget to follow, and share. Tell your friends, get everybody involved. We love comments too that are nice. Get involved in the conversation. Feel free to drop us a comment about how you thought a certain chapter went. We'd love to have that open dialogue with you guys. And then perhaps if we get enough of that, one time we'll do a live.
Ooh, yeah.
Maybe do an entire recap of the entire series.
Maybe, hopefully, by the end of this series, we'll do a little...
a live that just has a recap of the entire
event.
Series. That could be fun.
We have to do it, though, after, the last one airs, because we're a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah. Which...
We're in the future.
We are in the past, currently. Because this will go out the 2nd week of November, and we're still before Halloween, y'all. As you can see. But you want to get right into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so chapter 18, the recap. Feyre returns to Valeris and is reunited with the Inner Circle. The tensions between Feyre and Rhysand are high after the events in the Spring Court. Feyre feels the weight of the impending war. And I think that the tensions that is being mentioned here is the sexual kind. Because the first thing they do.
Yep.
Which, God love them, I would do it too. You have something to add? Did you want to add something to the conversation?
She said there's humans here that aren't giving me attention. Later.
So, conversation starters. How do you... well, first of all, let's do... what do you want to do what you have, or do you want...
mine are just little, comments. Okay, so, I had 2. Mm-hmm. I said I love that Lucian is, warming up to everyone.
Agreed.
And then...
Even after the awkward holding from Azriel down to when they were flying.
That poor guy just has to, hey, buddy, come pick me up and fly me.
Upsies.
It really is.
It really is.
And then it still bugs me that Nesta so clearly favors Elaine. What the fuck did Feyre ever do to you?
Not to skip too far ahead, but to go with that, we almost got something. Which makes me think that the story is not done there.
No. Well, and this is nothing to do with this book, but apparently the last book that's out, the 5th book that's out, it's 1,000 pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's huge. I already seen it. I have it already.
Oh.
Yeah, the next book is tiny. It's a third of that book.
Yeah, that's what my friends were saying. It's a novella.
Yeah, and then the next book is... the book after that, it's this plus the next book.
Mm.
So it's pretty thick. God love it.
Thick.
Just kidding. How do you think Feyre's time at the Spring Court has affected her relationship with the Night Court?
Dude,
Personally,
I'm like, that was so many chapters.
right. Well, and this is the other reason that I was like, ooh, a recap for each chapter would be a very good idea, because I was thinking about it. So because I was on the plane when I read most of this, I didn't take any notes.
Yeah, it was 18 when she like first got back.
It's when she first got back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot has happened. A lot has happened between chapter 18 and 36. A lot has happened.
I mean, I feel like it really not a lot changed besides like, but that comes later too.
I think there was just more appreciation for the Night Court.
Yeah.
It was more of a like coming home feeling, and it was and being welcomed home.
Well, and she even like said that before, like to Lucian when they were going, she's like, I'm going home. Like, that's my home. This isn't. I'm going home. You can come with, but
yeah. What are your thoughts on how Feyre navigates her feelings of guilt and anger in this chapter? To be fair, I also didn't get a chance to read these before I ended up putting them in here. I don't know specifically what we're talking about in that instance.
like I literally can't.
To be fair, the entire book, she's always dealing with feelings of guilt and anger.
Yeah, I feel like that question is every single episode.
See,
well, I guess like
happened,
yeah.
That already happened. Focusing on the alliance, we already knew that.
Well, let me see if I have comments for the chapters you're skipping.
Just 19 and 20.
Okay, so chapter 19. I said, it's sad, but I do love that Cassian was... Oh, okay, yeah. So this is kind of going in with the questions about the inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
When he brought it up to her, when they were training... Stop it. He basically brought up like, hey, I hate that you like lied by omission.
Oh, yeah,
and, like, didn't say anything. Right. And she's like, well, reset. And he's like, no. I already had my conversation. I know it's aggressive. I hate those cars. I already had my conversation with Reese. Like, this is between you and I, because you and I are friends, and you made your own decision. And I feel like it just really
maybe that
pushes into it. Yeah, that was for 19. It like really just hits the nail on the head of like, you really have a choice in everything. Just because Reese thinks that way, you're not going to be like faulted for thinking differently. At least that's how like I took it.
Oh yeah, no, this is starting to make yeah. Feyre returns with her sisters, Elaine and Nesta, in the Night Court. Nesta is cold and distant, while Elaine is still suffering emotionally from her transformation into Fae. So yeah, it's still... Yeah,
this is when she was still just like not eating, staring out the window.
Yeah, some of the questions are just a little off, but the recaps are they're okay.
Yeah.
So what was that all you had for 19?
Yeah.
The other thing, so why do you think, and this is a good question actually, if we like put some thought into it, and prior to our knowledge for what happens in later episodes, or chapters, and we were just speaking about it. Why do you think that Nesta continues to push Faye away?
Bitch, I don't know, but she bugs the out of me.
I think it's all a front. We talked about this in previous episodes about how, and I think it was actually when we were talking about when we first found out that Nesta went to the wall to find Feyre after she was taken. And I think she's had so much taken away from her in her life that she pushes people away, and she doesn't remain close with anybody except for Elaine because she wants to protect Elaine. But I think that everybody else's does not matter because she prevents herself from feeling hurt or losing that feeling.
I mean, that's so like shitty. Like, that's your littlest sister. We have to remember that Nesta's the oldest.
Yep.
And Feyre is the youngest.
Yep. How do you interpret Elaine's state of mind in this chapter, and what do you think is the biggest struggle? Well, I think it's trauma. It's a trauma response. 100%. That's cold case PTSD.
Yeah. And what do I ask? Maybe it's still a chapters. Yeah, a few chapters from now. 24 is what we get into. Other parts of things that I started already thinking.
Mm.
That's all I have for night.
Discuss the contrast between Feyre's approach to her new Fey life versus her sister's. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one.
That's a good one.
We're going to discuss the contrast between Feyre's approach to her new Fey life versus her sister's. I think that, ironically, none of them had the choice.
Correct.
None of them had that choice.
Correct. None of them chose this life.
No one chose. None of the three of them chose this life.
None of them chose the Fey life. The Fey life chose them.
I mean, destiny, y'all. Isn't that what it's all about? I think that once Feyre entered the Night Court, she learned to accept her new body. And
well, I mean, even before that, she wanted to train. She didn't.
There was still that weird phase where she was like, almost like when you have a growth spurt. Like you're bumping into things because you're not sure how big your body is, and like breaking things because you're not realizing how much your own strength is. So I feel like she approached it differently when she got into the Night Court, when she started to learn more about like Rhysand's life, and falling in love with Rhysand probably helped a little bit, but especially because everything's better, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I do feel like it just in general, she took it better. Like she at least had an idea about maybe wanting to train, where obviously Elaine, before we found everything out, she did seem like she was just going crazy and like shutting down.
Yeah.
And then Nesta was just Nesta.
Nesta was so funny. She's like, I'll just be here being a Fae for eternity.
And like,
I suppose I could read.
She's like, this is literally, I have no choice. So it is what it is.
In Chapter 20, the Inner Circle discusses plans for the upcoming war, focusing on the alliances they need to form with other courts. Feyre is reminded of the complexity of dealing with different court politics. How do you feel about the pressures Feyre faces as she tries to rally allies in the Night Court?
I feel like since she's seen like what Hybern will do, what Amarantha did, like all of that.
And what Tamlin's willing to do.
Yeah. And what he already has like agreed to. I mean, she's probably terrified.
I think that there's also like the complexity of knowing like you have to be a two-faced, there's a two-faced mask to it all.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're there yet. No, we're not there yet. I won't bring it up yet. But I think that I think it definitely like, I think the main priority that she has is protecting Valeris and her sisters.
Yeah.
And Rhysand.
And the inner circle. Yeah, her family. Yeah.
Yeah. When I say going forward.
Family.
Going forward, when we say her family, fuck her dad, just everybody else. Because we still don't know.
Dad!
Dad's not here, man. What are the biggest challenges the Inner Circle faces in uniting the courts? Well, aside from having aside from there being a bounty on their head from the Summer Court,
and Tamlin being pissed,
and then not really. Well, and then the Autumn Court, we were totally under the impression that was never going to end well.
Yeah.
Then the Winter Court, we just know that person is like frigid.
Yeah, but then
Do you have anything for Chapter 20?
I do. I just have one. But do we talk about where's 20? No, we don't talk about the library in this because all I have, Reese truly is the best, making like a library a safe haven for like battered women.
Yeah, it's the like under the mountain library one.
Yeah.
Yeah, which gets real fun
later, but yes. Yeah. But my thought during that, I was like, it really just shows like he's so wonderful.
I don't know if this is the chapter that they make the decision. I don't know if this is the chapter where she makes the decision where she's like, Hybern already knows what we have, so why don't we get a monster?
Yeah.
And then, what an odd choice to pick specifically the Carver.
Yeah. I have where? Okay. 22 is when they go to the Carver.
But I feel like they make the decision early on, and it's because it's the plotting to get there, the planning and all that stuff that takes place. And some of these chapters are a lot shorter than others. Like, when you told me we were reading up to page 350, and I went through like 2 chapters in a span of like the 40s, I was like,
Yeah. I did the same thing. I was like, oh, this must be the last chapter. And then I was like, oh, nope.
nope.
Oh.
Do you think the war preparations are realistic, or are they underestimating their enemies? Well, we find out later that there is a little bit of underestimation.
Yeah.
But I think it's just more of the element of surprise and the not having a good idea of timeline.
Well, and I think that they just are assuming all of the lords are going to show up and be on their side. And that's just not very realistic, I feel like.
I think as they start to learn to trust other people, people start to trust them, because that's what happened with Lucian. So I feel like there is a possibility of them potentially getting allies where they didn't think allies would happen.
Yeah.
It's just a matter, and we get into this a little bit later, of that balancing act of making sure that you're not burning bridges with the people closest with you first. Because getting the Dragonborn or the Dark Brood or whatever they are, the army from the Court of Night Airs.
Yeah. Kyr's army.
Kyr's army.
Yeah.
Death Singers or something
I don't remember.
Starts with a D, but they really wanted to get the D. I know what that's like. So, chapter 21. Feyre has a private conversation with Rhysand about their feelings for each other and their roles in the war. They discuss the weight of their responsibilities and the fear of losing each other. And this is that conversation about making sure that...
terrified.
This comes up even later, too. I think this is one of two conversations that they have, because it's the whole making sure that Rhysand knows that he doesn't have to bear the weight of it by himself. And that goes in conversation that she had with Cassian, being like, it's not just the two of you against the world.
Right, because that was part of the reason he was mad. He's like, not only, yes, we would protect you as his mate.
The entire thing differently.
However, we now, like,
we're a unit.
You're ours now, too. He's like, you're mine.
You are High Lady now.
Yeah. Like,
High Lady is I don't think she knew what she was signing up for with that one.
I don't think so either.
But Rhysand knew what he was doing, I'm sure, in some prophetic way. I don't know if that's a word, but I feel like it is.
Terrified.
What do you have for notes for 21?
For 21, I just have one thing. It was just, damn, Amryn training Nesta is a little scary, because that means Nesta is, like, powerful, which...
Little did we know.
But, you know, I was just like, wow, if Amryn is the one training her, that's a little insane.
Excited, though, and because this, I think one of the things that's, wow. One of the things that really excites me about these chapters, and I think this book, is that we get to know, like, a different side of Amryn. And we get to learn no, we're not going to go there yet, because we're not even there yet. But we get to, like, see a side of her that's different. It's more... as much as she can be standoffish, you can tell that she still likes having them around.
Yeah.
And there's something about that that's so pretty and cute to me. And it just makes me happy. Like, my heart warms for Amryn. And it warms later on for different reasons. But
yeah.
How does this chapter deepen the bond between Feyre and Rhysand, and how does it prepare them for the war? I think they finally have that I saw this thing, and it was like for me, it makes me think of, there was this thing I just saw recently on, I think it was like Facebook Reels or something like that. And it was just snippets from Ted Lasso.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen the show, but...
Oh, it's good.
It looks like it would be, and I probably will binge watch it.
I thought that it was like a soccer show, like a show about soccer, but it's just a show with soccer in it.
I'll give it a shot, but...
Or football, sorry.
I am just currently not there yet. I just binge watched the rest of Heartstoppers. I just almost, in my day today, almost binge watched all of the Monster Show with about the Menendez brothers.
Yeah, I heard that's really good. One of my coworkers was telling me.
I mean, if you liked Dahmer, it's the same people. It's Ryan Murphy and some other guy. I didn't
watch Dahmer. I haven't been watching really any of the, like...
True crime stuff.
Just because I was going through like deep hole of it, and then I'm like, oh my god, I live alone. Like
I
I
need to stop.
need to stop because then I like couldn't.
Don't watch
sleep.
Woman of the Hour then. It's really, really
I
good.
keep seeing that.
It's so good, but it's about a guy that it's a true story. This guy was a serial killer that went on to a dating show. But anyway, I was watching this thing about Ted Lasso, and he's having a conversation with the female lead character too, and I can't remember everybody's name. I don't know everybody's names, but he's like, my wife and I went through a hard time, and when we went through a hard time, we started going to a couples counselor, and the couples counselor said that you guys should have a safe word, and that safe word is to only be used when you think the other person is not telling you the full truth, and it's usually about like. And they go through snippets of it and with the woman, and she's just like saying things like, how excited are you that your mother-in-law is staying here tonight? And he's like, it's not that big deal. And the safe word was Oklahoma. So then she's like, Oklahoma. And he's like, it's kind of fucking weird. And I feel like that's what we have now with Rhysand and Feyre. Yeah. They have this understanding now that we can lie to anybody else, just not the two of us.
And I think this happens.
We can cover things up for anybody else, just not the two of us. And I think that's
Are we on chapter 22 yet? Or is it still 21?
No, it's still 21. Okay. But
22 is when like that really does happen too. Because 21 ends with her having the bad dream.
Yes. What do you think of Rhysand's vulnerability in this chapter? I think this is like blending the two chapters. But this is also when he's having the discussion, I think, about why, I don't know. How does the conversation about the future land? Okay, we're just going to move to chapter 22 because these questions are the same question asked different ways.
Well, and that was chapter 22. I have Rhys making sure Feyre has a safe space to talk, like even if it's not with him.
Yeah.
Like that was what you were saying. Like it's like, hey, because she was like, oh, it's fine. And wasn't bringing it up. And he was kind of like,
he's like, you don't got to tell me, but it might be better if you get it off your chest.
Well, blah, 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 blah.
So Feyre continues training with Cassian and Azriel to prepare. Oh, she's learning how to fly now, too. Nesta observes but refuses to participate. The tension between the sisters grows as war approaches. And I think there's like this level of anger coming from Feyre now about Nesta because she's just like, you're powerful. We all know you're powerful. Why wouldn't you help in this war?
Yeah.
Like, why would you risk something happening to all the people? Like, granted, I think that Nesta also is just like, because she says it at one point, I think, about how all of the people, he's like, in their old town that were their friends were not their friends when they lost all their money. But as soon as they got all their money back, they
like
showed up.
Happened.
And she was just like, they can all burn in hell.
Burn in hell.
Yep. Why do you think Nesta refuses to train, and what does it say about her character? I think she's afraid. I think she's terrified of the power.
Yeah.
And I think that we learn a little more later on, but...
Yeah, and we learn later that, like, yes, she is. At that point, I just was like, because she's annoying. I'm not a Feyre fan at this point.
No, you mean Nesta, not Feyre.
That's what I meant.
Gotcha.
Not a Nesta fan at this point.
I am. And I think that I've always kind of subtly been a little bit of a Nesta fan, only because it was like, get it, bitch. And he's like, like matches like. I don't know what to tell you.
You are not like Nesta.
Just kidding. How do Feyre's physical training sessions... And he's like, parallel to emotional growth. Well, I think that her getting more confident in her training lessons just helps her also be more confident in using her powers and being like the decisions that she has to make now that she is a high lady. I think when you feel empowered and you know that you're doing well, it just melts into everything else that you're doing.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah, I feel like I feel like them just giving her the space to just like a bone. Oh. Do you want me to move it?
No, I just making sure it wasn't something out of the bag.
No, it's a bone. Giving her the freedom to like express her power and train it out and do all of that without, it's just again such a stark difference than or Spring Court. because he's like, no, you can't train, you can't do anything. And they're like, yeah, what do you want to do? Like, Azrael was like, yeah, you want to learn to fly? I'll teach you to fly because I'm the one that makes the most sense to teach you how to fly because I learned later and blah, blah, blah. And so them just automatically making like whatever she wants. She's like, I want to learn to fly. They're like, yep, okay, let's do it. I want to do this. Yep, okay. So getting the confidence not only in her body, but like being able to speak up and speak out for like what she wants. Voice. Yeah.
And I think, I mean, they mention it later on when something significant happens the morning after. Cassian's just like, do you want me to go hard or do you want to go soft? And she's like, I don't want to be able to walk afterwards.
He's like, got you.
He's like, I feel the same way. I know exactly what you mean.
Yep.
And it's because it helps you focus. And like, I get it with people that go to the gym religiously. They're like, it's my safe space. It's my church. And I'm like, good on you. I wish I could find that.
Wish that could be me.
I wish that was me. Chapter 23.
Wait, hold on. No, because there's more to discuss in chapter 22 with my notes.
I was going to say, don't you have 50,000 notes for 22?
No, that's for 24.
Okay.
22, though, I have 2 more that I haven't said.
Go for it.
Because this is when she realized that the Carver was their, like, represented himself as their son.
And he's like,
yeah. So it's crazy that this didn't have anything because that's insane. Because she's like, I didn't realize the first time that that's like, my dad's eyes. That's,
no, that was Reese's eyes and my dad's mouth.
And and my mouth. Like, my son.
Yeah.
No, she was like, the High Lord's son. Our son.
And he's just a wee babe playing with bones. And he's like, what up, Mom?
And I'm like, that's so fucked up.
But it makes me so interested to see, like, he's like, these beings come in different shapes and like they only portray themselves to you differently from anybody else. So I'm wondering what their natural, like, what their actual appearance is.
That would be,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep going.
And then I have another one. And I said, the Carver knows Nesta's name and asking what she took. Fuck, dude, what is going on?
That was my favorite part is like, because it was.
And with Cassian right there.
There was always this conversation being had about like, how did the cauldron lose power? What happened when the cauldron? Is it because it made so many things immortal? And no, Nesta came in and she was like, "Fuck you."
She said, "You're gonna do this to me. I'm fucking taking something with me.
I will bring the world down with me." Can you? Provide more provisions, please. Yeah, that whole, I didn't realize that this was the chapter that we ended up having the conversation with the Carver. The whole thing with the Carver, because now that you brought that up, there's something else I wanted to touch on about it. What do you have left?
That was it for 22. But remember, the Carver was broken up into 22 and 23. So 23 was also the Carver. Wow, they really just left out everything with the Carver. So let me do my 23s with the Carver since we're still talking about it. Just hold on. They said, fuck that Carver.
They really did.
Okay, so mine was just, wow, the Weaver and the Carver are twins. Crazy.
Well, not like twins, there's 3 of them.
No, they were twins, but then they also have a brother.
Okay.
Yes. And so my thing is, do we think Feyre is now going to try to get not only the Carver, but the Weaver, whose actual name is Strega? Strega and Kochi to fight with them as well.
So I would.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would ever happen because the Carver's hiding in the prison from his siblings. Yeah. But isn't the Weaver blind now?
Yes.
So I'm curious as to how, because the Ouroboros that she used, which was the mirror, how did she see herself in the mirror? How did she get blinded?
I'm thinking that when whoever, because he talks about the whatever trapping both of them, maybe they took the eyesight too. Obviously we don't know.
But that was something I wanted to talk. Oh my fucking Christ, I'll cracker. I obviously just can't lean on it. So I go this way. And he's like, okay. So, and he's like, I think that the whole lore behind the Carver.
I don't know why it's a 23 when it's the Court of Nightmares is revisited? Because that's not chapter 23. That's not till chapter 25. So we might have to...
We're just gonna wait. What does it say? It's 25. And he's like you. 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 He's always been there.
Yeah, this I feel like is not correct.
See, if I had more time before, I would have read through these, and I wanted to too, but I was like,
no, it's okay. We can kind
of
discuss off of notes, and then from there we'll just see.
So,
and then the only thing I have from 22 or 23, Cassian is so in love, but now I don't remember what I did that about.
That was because he was like entranced by what the Carver was talking about in regards to Nesta.
Yeah.
And like and I don't think that the Carver was talking to Feyre about Nesta. He was talking to him.
Yeah.
And he's like, again, like, I just want this. I'm going to need an appendix or a lore about all of the creatures that she's got in these stories, because I'm like, to me, it's fascinating. Anything fantasy like this with like old ancient legend things, I love that shit. Like Hellboy was one of my favorite things to watch because it had like these ideas of old things. But then isn't this around the time that we realize that, or when Feyre is like, my sister is death. My sister took death from the cauldron.
Yeah, but I think at this point she's only thinking it. It wasn't till later.
No, she has a discussion about it, and it was because of something like Nesta gets the flying when she tells everyone you're moving into. Oh, that makes sense then. And he's like, the Lucian makes it into Valeris. That makes sense because she takes everybody from the House of Wind and brings them to the townhouse. But I think because when she lands, is when she's about to throw up. She goes and she throws up. She comes out of the bathroom and she is pissed.
Yeah, that's.
And I think that's when she has
chapter 23 though, because 24, my notes.
No, that's chapter 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this kind of makes sense because I don't think they go right to the Huon City right away, but they do.
No. They don't. It's chapter 25. I can see it because of my notes.
But then them moving from the House of Wind to the townhouse on Feyre's orders. And he's like, that happens around that time. So Lucian entering the city makes sense. That does make sense. I'm just deeply, and I can't get off this. I'm deeply fascinated by like the story of the Carver and the three of them. Like I would love to learn more because.
Well, and I want to know what Bone Carver's real name is.
Yeah, and I want to know what his affinity is for because is it the brother that's death or are they all
both?
Death?
Well, he said that both of them were death, his siblings, and then Feyre was like, "What are you?" And. Then she's like, death. He once asked me about death. And because they were death gods or death something.
Yeah. It was interesting for me to also listen to a lot of the storytelling in this when I'm skipping ahead, mind you. So it's just because I'm making parallels on things right now. But there was a conversation that's had between Azriel and Feyre when she's flying and she feels like she won't be ready in time to help in anything in the war.
Yeah.
And he talks about how they parted the sea. And I'm like, well, that's biblical because Moses parted the sea. And then there was another reference that happened later on, too, that was something else that they were talking about, skipping ahead again, because I do that. But when the attack happens at the library, directly after that, Amryn is on the hunt. And they ask, Feyre asks, how does she know who's friend or foe? And they said it's because they put blood on the walls. And I was like,
movie Prince of Egypt.
I was like, have you watched this before? Just curious.
The whole time I was reading that though, I was thinking of that movie.
There can be miracles. I'm like, all right, where's Whitney?
My sister watched that all the time growing up. I actually watched it not too recent.
Like if they don't,
you know what? I
if they
love
make
that
this into a movie and they don't have Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey singing "There Could Be Miracles" during that portion of this, I don't want it.
I'm like, you guys want to like.
And he's like,
Christians want to get people more interested in the Bible. Live action that movie.
they did. It's called The Passion of the Christ. and he's like, and they're making a sequel.
Okay, live action
Guys.
a sequel to Passion of the Christ.
I'm like, guys, there's no other story there. I don't know. They are making one. I don't know.
What?
Girl, I don't know. Christians are weird, y'all. Anyway, what was I just thinking? And I was like, that's a really good point to make. And it's gone. It's all gone.
You know what other movie they should?
Oh, no, but the reason I said all that before you say what you're going to say so I don't lose it again, the death god thing, that's like an Aztec thing. There's like Aztec Indians have a death god. They have that death whistle too.
I don't know what you're talking about, but that actually ties in perfectly with the movie that I think that they should live action.
And what is that?
Just take one guess. Thinking Aztec, death gods.
No idea.
The Road to El Dorado.
Oh, Jesus.
And or Atlantis.
No, 100% they should do Atlantis.
Yeah.
100% they should do Atlantis. And like, do not let Timothy Chalamet or any of those other twinky little fools close to that role. I don't want Tom Holland. I don't want Timothy Chalamet. None of them.
Do you have somebody you want?
No, but I just don't want either one of them.
What about Andrew Garfield?
He's too old. Oh, no, actually, he could. I feel like he could. Myra Thatch as Andrew Garfield. I could see that.
Right?
And he's like, but they need like Christopher Lloyd to play his uncle, his crazy uncle. And he's like, does, or the guy, the beneficiary.
Lloyd is
Back to the Future.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah.
Uncle Fester in the Addams Family.
Okay, thank you.
Because I feel like he's got the hair for it.
I'm really bad with like actors' names,
That's
but if
fine.
you tell me their characters, I'm like, oh, I love that guy.
I feel like I'm talking to Brandon right now, but yes, Brandon is the exact same way. And he's like, he's good at like.
So basically, what I'm learning is me and Brandon are the same person.
Yes, we had this conversation last week.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Are we still on 23?
We're on 23, but now it wants to talk about their going back because she finds out that, well, no, this actually kind of feels like it's in tandem. So they go back to the Huon City and
we're going to that before we do.
And he's like,
what happens before the Huon City?
What happens before the Huon City? And he's like,
this is when,
and he's like,
I just would like to say, because chapter 24 happens before the Huon City.
oh, and you have a shit ton to talk about in chapter 24. And he's like, okay, go for it. Let's do it.
So my first one is, who the fuck is this Firebird? Because Elaine was talking about the Firebird. And then I said, can she see the future? Yep. See,
Can you see the future?
I was like, she see the future or this was my other one. Or is her hearing so good that she could hear Highburn?
Yeah. Could she hear other people and other things?
But the future thing, I did call that. And then this one just made me laugh because this is when Feyre was trying to get Nesta to like learn to fight and stuff, and she was just like, why would I do that when other people can?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know if I'd be more like Nesta and not want to learn to fight because I hate manual labor, or fight because, and that's what I said. Well, actually, this is what I said. I said, or like Feyre, because like I kind of want to know what it would feel like to stab somebody.
Do you remember that short that I had last week, y'all, where she was holding a knife behind me? And he's like, everything's fine.
Stop. So that was one.
See, I feel like for me, I would want to fight, not because I want to, like, if I was a fighter, I'd want to be like Amryn, where I don't need weapons. Like, I'd want the power to do it.
But that's what I'm saying, because that's not manual labor.
Well, it's taxing, though.
Yeah, but
at the same time, like, that would be, like, just because I like the illusions of it all, like
Yeah.
the optics of it.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, this is when also that Feyre went into Lucian's mind.
Because they were trying to get him to talk with Elaine and to...
And he, well, no, this is when he came in on accident.
The books, yes.
Yeah, and when he like came in and was like, oh, and stayed, and then she trapped in the wind.
Yeah.
But when she was in there, he kind of started talking about like their dynamics, and he said like, this is what I thought the spring court would be.
Yep.
And so I said, like, Lucian is heartbroken in the same way that Feyre was. They see what kind of court like Rhys has built and realize that like that's what the spring court could be, but isn't.
Yep. And that's what happens when you have a dumbass leader.
Yep.
Keep going. Like, it's election week, y'all.
Oh, and one thing, every time, because when Feyre first saw Rhysand, she said, oh my God, that's the most beautiful man I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Rhysand says something about her being the most beautiful woman he's ever seen.
And then he says it about Elaine, but then he also feels guilty about Jacinda or whatever it is. And he's like,
I said that to her too, but
it was different then. And
yeah. But I said, I love that their mate is always like the most beautiful. Like it's no matter what. Oh my God, that's the most beautiful person.
Well, that's where the whole like
seen.
love is blind.
Yeah, love is in the eye of the beholder.
No, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's okay. She's got this.
Okay. And then I said, okay, Azriel escorting Elaine to the garden and her saying like, don't know if it was the scars or the siphon was beautiful, and he was just like, oh.
Thanks.
So like, Azriel.
Yes. Stop it.
And then I just said, oh, fuck, in all capitals. Nesta's going to be, in all capitals, powerful. But I hope she annoys me less still.
Because they take her to the Court of Nightmares to Huon City to see if she can connect with the objects there.
I think that was about them flying and him getting mad and then stepping in. That was
she gets mad.
Or her getting mad. That was the fuck, she's powerful.
And then she's just like
comes out, and
it's like molten silver in her eyes.
And that's what that was about. And then I just have sad day for Azriel wanting the mating bond to be snapped with more, because Feyre's like wouldn't have already snapped into place by now. And he was like, I think Azriel wakes up every day and asks himself that question.
So is this when we've had the conversation about the mating bond? Because is this when she has the conversation with Rhysand about it? Because there was one thing that we discussed in the last book or in the last episode about whether or not more than one mate could have, or more than one mating bond could happen. But so far what we've heard is that a mating bond can be denied. And he's like, and if it's denied, though, the male that has the mating bond with the female goes basically feral. Yeah.
So in 27, I have something about, can two males feel that one woman is their mate?
Because which
I don't think anymore now that we know everything, obviously.
But there's still a small part of me that is curious about what Azriel's thing is. I wonder if him and Elaine, it's because of her quietness that he's attracted. I don't say attracted as in like physically and sexually. I say attracted as in like just drawn to.
I think also, I mean, this is skipping kind of ahead too.
But I
because
think more
he's always the one
too.
Asking like, who do you see? What do you see? So I think it just clicked for him sooner.
Yeah.
About what she was.
But I also think that the quiet demeanor, though, is something that's alluring for him and Moore, because Moore spends a lot of time with her, too.
Yeah.
Like quiet grandma time with her. Like, okay, old lady, come on. It's okay. So the situation in the Huon City, how do we feel? And I'm just
we're just
glazing now because it's kind of accurate, but it's not 100% accurate. But how do we feel about first of all, Eris showing up?
Okay, rewind a little bit, because just starting with her getting in there being one throne and her sitting on it, and then all of them trying to test her and her being like,
She just
come on
squashing.
in, come on in. Then,
Yes.
like she really was like, no.
She's putting on the mask that she had to put on.
Yeah, but she really said, "Oh, you thought that you could fuck with me, but
Fuck you, did.
Guess what? You cannot."
Cute try though.
It's cute try, but actually no.
Yeah.
So I loved
But
that.
I loved that like Rasan was just perched on the arm.
He literally said, "Go baby, go."
If he didn't like put an arm behind and like lay behind her, that's exactly how I imagine it. And he's just like playing with her hair.
Like, do-do-do-do-do. This actually has nothing to do with me. You
Like
get
a
to
cat
listen to
playing
her.
with something,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's sexy.
Yeah, but I did say Reese is dirty for bringing Eris in with no warning to anyone.
And I feel like that's when the other conversation happened where it was like, we both need to talk to each other about things. The decisions that we make need to happen that way.
Yeah.
Which I feel like as we progress a little bit further, this comes up, but I feel like the people closest to Feyre, I don't know why that took me a minute. I feel like the people closest to her, she she has that unspoken understanding with.
Yeah.
Because it happens later on. I'm not going to get too far into it until we get there, but she does it with Nesta more than once. She did it way back in the first book when she decided to leave and go see she decided to leave and go find Tamlin.
Yeah.
And she didn't have to say much, and Nesta was right there and like, don't come back here.
Right.
So it's just, which I can understand that being the other reason that Nesta is like, fuck you, bitch. I told you not to come back. But he's like, rivers crossed, who knows? But yeah, no, I think that conversation happens again in this part of the book, because after they get back from the Human City and the way that Feyre breaks down, not Feyre, the way that Mor breaks down, and then to have Amren come in and be like, I have spent 50 years holding this whole group together. It's not okay for it to fall apart now. And then to have Feyre have to like fortify that with, you guys are family. Remember, you are family. He's like, I think that goes into the deeper conversation that we've been having about Rhysand and how he constantly thinks that he has to put the whole world on his shoulders, and his willingness to sacrifice anything to save the city and save his people.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, there is something to be said about the way that Eris is just like, you believe whatever you want to believe.
Well, and I do have for chapter 26, I was like, is Eris kind of good?
I don't know how to quantify it in Fae terms.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to know the full story. But then Lucian later is like, no, fuck that guy. Like, I agree with whoever, I think it was Cassian, that was like, no, let's kill him.
Well, at the same time, Lucian still doesn't know that the only reason that he survived that night is because that Eris alerted.
Well, and I wanted
so there's a part
Feyre
of me
to ask him, like, hey, was he there that night? Because he said he wasn't, and he said ask Lucian, and she didn't ask him.
Well, I feel like we're going to have a conversation with Lucian later on.
Yeah.
Probably towards the end of this book, considering at this point he's probably not going to be a part of the book for a little bit. But
yeah.
I also feel like we haven't really heard much about him through most of this, because I think she's been preoccupied with so many other things that there is a small part of me, and him in his current state makes me even more weary. He's like,
do you think he's going to die?
No, I think he's still working with Tamlin.
Oh.
And
I weirdly don't.
I do and I don't.
I don't, because
I want to say I don't, because I want to believe that he is the friend that he's saying that he is to Feyre.
Yeah.
But I also have, with books like these, learned to expect the unexpected as much as possible. And that if it's possible, I feel like it's possible. So I'm trying to not be surprised if he...
No, I just feel like with Elaine being his mate, and with him seeing how the night court is versus the spring court, like,
he's like,
that's what he wanted. He wanted that family. He wanted those friends that like have his back no matter what. And I think he knew that that bond with Feyre was there on her side, but it wasn't on his because he was so committed to Tamlin.
Yeah.
And then I also think that going into his mind when she saw all of that and he was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. That helped me think, oh yeah, like he's not still working for Tamlin. He just wasn't thinking
about it at that time.
Maybe. But then I also feel like he got his feelings hurt when she like hesitated talking about the plan. And I think that's why he volunteered, because he's like, hey, like I want to prove that like I am here to like, because he also said he doesn't agree with everything Hybern is doing. So if he can get out of helping Hybern, I think he's going to. But we'll see.
I mean, we shall see.
We shall see.
Where are we?
I don't know. Chapter 25 maybe, because I know that I also just had Kira so foul when he was bargaining and he said, you whored yourself out for Amarantha. What about? I'm like, oh my God, how are you not dead?
And the way that he put the scratches like close to him to be like, remember who you're talking to. But I think that there is still a small part of me that is like, maybe Eris isn't the most terrible person. Though I still don't
of the terrible people in this book.
Yeah. I don't think that he's ever going to try and get back with Morgan.
No, I don't say
think that Morgan would ever consider that again.
No, I did say, is Eris good? And said, ew, if Mor somehow forgives him and is with him instead of Az, I'll be pissed.
Yeah, no, that would blow up the entire book. After that, what happens?
So then we have, for 26, I also have, I don't want Court of Nightmares in Valeris because Rhys agrees.
But he agrees under contingency.
Well, but we don't know this at that point. All we knew.
No, we knew that there were going to be rules. He does say that when he's telling Kier.
Yeah.
But
we didn't know all
at the same time, I'm just things. Like, I agree with Morgan. You're going to give him an inch.
Yep. And so for chapter 27, I have fuck. Like, I totally get Rhys's side, but also, like, fuck that one place that Mor feels safe and is not tainted by her family. And you gave that up.
Yeah.
And this is when, Amren stepped in too. And that's when Cassian also was like getting closer to protecting Nesta. And Nesta actually like obeyed for once. She was like, let me go right behind you, actually. You're right.
Oh, you want to be a human shield? Got it.
She was like, don't touch me, except for right now, because I don't want to die. Thanks so much.
Oh my God. Don't touch me just with your eyes. Yeah, no. That's when but he's like,
and this is also when for 27 Amren's story gets.
He's like, I do want to say, in last week's episode, I had said something about this.
Yeah.
I was like, we've heard everyone's backstory.
You did when we were getting it. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope he's happy.
I was so happy and so sad.
Because I did say, I was like, it's so sad. Maybe, I don't want like all of the emotions at once. Like I get, I don't need all of them at once.
Yeah.
But having no emotions whatsoever.
And he's like,
so sad.
Not only that, but then the only way to escape your fate is to become something entirely different.
Yeah.
And then
that's why I don't think she'll leave, because she's felt that love. And
I was just about to say, as much as I think that she wants, I don't think she wants to leave, because I don't think she wants to. At the end of her story, they're like, what happens if you end up,
she's like, I won't know.
I won't know any of you. I won't care for any of you, and I won't feel any of these things.
And I will probably kill you.
And I feel like that to me means that she doesn't want that.
Yeah.
She just wants the option, should she ever need it.
She's like, everyone else gets a choice, and I get a choice up to everything but to be myself.
And we finally learn a little bit more too about the story, about how she even got there in the first place.
Yep.
There was a rip in the sky, and she wanted to know.
Yeah.
And she wanted was the issue, is the fact that she wanted. And I'm curious as to know, what caused the ripple in the sky and what brought her to their world.
Mm-hmm.
And and he's like, that's why I want a lexicon of all the
everything.
shit. I want the lore. And he's I'm curious if she would be more interested in just ripping open the void again to maybe not necessarily go home, but at least like show
See what else is out there. Yeah.
Explore more. I mean, if you're alive forever, I guess there's like, why not?
Yeah. I also have in here, this was some more of my
He's like,
predictions that before we found out what Elaine was. Because like, do you think Elaine is hearing Miriam and Drakon? She said everyone thinks she's dead, but she's not, only different, changed as I was.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she's like saw Miriam or if that was about the other queen.
I think that was either about the other queen or it was about Nesta.
Oh, maybe. Well, no, because no one thought
she was dead. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sixth queen everyone thought was dead.
Yeah.
But really she was sold.
Yes. And then I do have in here also, this was before I was like, oh, Elena's talking about the queens. They went in after Nesta. She took something from it. Like this was before we knew that. Yeah. And then we're on chapter 27, if anyone wants to know. This is what we're talking. You're like, oh, good. We can look at what 27 is on here, too.
I'm not even sure.
Feyre dreams of her time in a spring court reflecting.
See? It's so late.
Okay, well, and then I also, this is what I have. Can two males feel that one woman is their mate? Because I feel like Azriel has been way nicer and more talkative with Elaine. And also Feyre was trying to push it as well.
She's like, why not?
She's like, I just feel like that makes more sense. They were sitting in the garden together or whatever.
And is this after she got the healer? And he's like,
no, this is still before.
And he's like,
yeah. Because we don't find out till, the healer might have been, I can't remember.
Because then that's when they decide to have Lucian try, because the healer makes a suggestion. She's like, have her mate feel or something.
I don't have anything about that in my notes, so I don't know.
What's next? What do you got next?
That was it for 27. And then sometimes I'm really good with notes. Sometimes I'm really bad, because the only thing I have for chapter 28 is Nesta really is so annoying. And that's it. And then for chapter 29, I said the Weaver and the mirror reminds me of Snow White.
And he's like,
because the Weaver was using the mirror to find people and take their youth from them. And I also said I feel like Feyre could face the mirror because it shows you your soul, and I feel like she's accepted that she has that darkness in her soul. And it just would show her that, but she's already accepted that. She knows that she has darkness in her soul.
If I'm being honest, he's like, awful. And he's like, when they said that they would make you lose your mind, I was like, show it to Elaine. She already lost it. I'm like, fuck, why not?
Yeah, because at that point we didn't know
anything.
Didn't know.
But I was just like, this girl is batshit crazy. She's seeing shit in the clouds.
Yeah,
let her go. Yeah.
Why did I say Nesta really is so annoying? Don't know.
Okay, moving
but that
on.
was 29. Yeah. So now 30 is 30 is when it ended in the Ravens showing up, because like I said, how the fuck they cannot catch a break. So that's also when Nesta and Feyre
finally
almost have a conversation.
And it's interesting too, because at first
good for Feyre though for asking the question.
Yeah, just blurting it. Why have you always pushed everyone away, and why have you never liked me?
Yeah, especially me. What the fuck did I ever do to you?
And she's like, because, and then the
Ravens showed
breaks,
up. Yep.
And that's when everyone feels it. But I'm wondering, and this is the other thing, circling back. And he's like, the thing that's living at the bottom, is it the Carver's other sibling?
Okay, I actually have a different
go for it
theory on who that is. And that would be chapter 33, but we can say it now. The Sorcerer Lord. Because, and I don't know how to say this nicely.
The
I think-
Sorcerer Lord.
I think I'm more
Who is
right.
the Sorcerer Lord?
Wait.
I'm just
I'm
confused.
not being mean when I say this, but I do think I'm more right than you are because the carver said that his brother was tied to a lake on the continent, and the sorcerer lord that has the sixth queen, it lives by the lake. So I think the sorcerer lord and the lake and the continent is the Koshi.
But they're
He's
at
like-
the bottom of a mountain inside of the Night Court, which is not on the mainland.
That's why I don't think that thing is Koshi.
Oh, I thought you were saying that you thought it was.
No, I think Koshi, they also called it the sorcerer lord that has the sixth queen, is at the lake on the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then, yeah.
So what do you think is at the bottom of the mountain?
That I don't know.
Because it wants to know about life is why I thought it was probably one of the siblings.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's related to them in some capacity.
That it could be, but I think because the carver said that his brother was tied to a lake
yeah.
on the continent, and the continent is.
Feyre is really terrible at putting two things together, though.
She's terrible. They all kind of are sometimes.
God awful.
Because I'm like, how did you guys not see that she was telling the future? And then, or like,
this is how we find out that this is when we
glimpses
find out
and
that Elaine
stuff.
is a seer.
And he's like, you.
Because as she is running down,
in 32. So no, it's
No.
actually.
as they are running through the halls of the library, it dawns on
Oh,
Feyre.
yeah.
She's like, there's crows, or the ravens. There's
Yeah.
ravens. And she was talking about it. And then she's like, and then the old woman, it was the hands going from younger to older. And that was the queen that
Yeah,
lost
because
her.
I have in 31 again.
Because
Also,
they were
Elaine
talking
can see the future. So
The ravens are talking about it. Because the ravens start talking about what happened and why they're after Nesta. And this goes back to what I was talking about, how I think that Feyre, with the people who are closest to her, have a connection
yeah.
of like understanding, because she says, she originally tells her to run, she doesn't listen. And then she tells her to run, she doesn't listen. And then she like shakes her head and she just starts.
Fucking go. Yeah, because I also have for chapter 31, what the fuck? I want to know what that thing is
I want to know
and
so
what they
bad.
meant by company and what happened to the ravens.
Oh my God.
Like, what did this thing do to them?
Yeah. Oh, I would go down there and talk to it all the time if it killed things for me.
I loved also that she was like, new punishment. You guys piss me off.
Yeah, I'm sending
you
you
gotta go
down there.
talk. So have fun.
Like, why would you not try and recruit it to like take care of you then? Like, why can't we release that instead of the carver?
Yeah. Well, and maybe that is something that happens. Yeah.
Are you
she's-
jealous right now?
No. So then for chapter 32, I just said called it because that's when we figured out that she was a seer.
That's when
That's
Asriel
when,
says she's a
Asriel's like,
seer.
by the way.
Where
just
do
so you
your
guys know.
notes stop?
Chapter 33.
Okay, yeah, don't read the rest because there's a spoiler on there.
Don't read this rest. A
don't read
spoiler for chapters after, like 30 after or 36 and after. Oh no. So now you have a spoiler.
I do.
Okay, well, 33, I just have. This is when they're talking about the sorcerer lord that has the sixth queen, and I
The
said the
queen
sorcerer
that's,
lord is Koshi or whatever.
yeah. The queen that has golden feathers or whatever,
Yeah.
which you asked about earlier.
The
on. You're like, "Who the
firebird,
fuck is the
yeah.
firebird?"
Fucking the firebird.
So I'm like, is she a phoenix?
I know.
Like, she's a phoenix during the day and a woman
Well,
at night?
and then they said that, or Elaine said that there was people there that had wings, not like hers or whatever. So I'm like, are Drakens? Does he have some of Draken's people? Because they were the people using their wings to like part the sea, and they
Yeah.
were like almost in my head like angel wings.
Yeah, because they were silver or white.
Yeah, or something like that.
Calm down.
And then this is also when Lucian says, "Hey, I'll go look."
Yeah.
Because I said yay to Lucian being part of the Night Court. And then 34 and 35 is when everything just happens and I couldn't take notes.
So before we go to 34 and 35, there is one thing that I want to mention. It's something that's probably going to be really sad.
Oh, goodness.
Elaine made one other prediction that she talked about at one point, and it had something to do with how Cassian dies.
Oh, yeah, because he said something about his wings not,
Yeah.
it won't kill him. And she's like, yes, it will.
Yeah.
I'm like, bitch.
Right. And I'm like, if she's seeing the future.
But I wonder if it's not him specifically, because I have in there, I'm like, what if Azriel dies?
Ugh, more will die too then.
Well,
Unless, you know what I could imagine happening?
Iris becomes good and that's her mate.
No.
Oh.
Cassian dies, but...
I don't think Cassian will die.
Shh.
Oh.
Cassian dies, but Nesta brings him back.
Oh.
She's got the power of the cauldron in her.
Yeah.
So I could imagine.
Because maybe she didn't take, we all think she's taking death, but maybe she took life.
We
Because
don't
he
know.
could bring Jurian back, so maybe
Yep.
she took life, not death.
Yep.
Or a little bit of both.
Or a little bit of both. We don't know what she took from the... She doesn't even know what she took from the cauldron.
No, because then we do learn that she is just afraid. She's like, I don't know what.
She's like,
any
I
of
don't
this
remember.
is.
And that's when we start getting into the conversation about how long it must have taken, like what that time span felt like for them.
Yeah.
Because to everybody else, it was a matter of seconds, but we don't know what it was like for them when they went underneath
Right.
the water.
Yeah.
And I'm interested, I'm like curious, maybe, and hopefully we hear that soon. Like one of them, whether it be Elaine or Nesta, to actually describe what it was like to go into the cauldron.
Well, especially because Elaine now is like, okay, I'm not going crazy.
No,
Like
she's
everyone
becoming more-
thought I was going crazy, but I wasn't.
She's becoming more cognizant. She's
Yeah.
becoming more coherent, which is good.
Because I mean, imagine if you're like just telling telling people these visions, and they're just like, you need to eat more. You need to go outside.
You just need some fresh air.
And
That's
like
all you need.
looking at you like you're a fucking
That
porcelain
shit.
doll. But then as soon as it clicked, she literally was like, oh, okay.
Oh wait, this is all starting to
Let
make
me
sense
actually
now.
tell you everything, and then I can actually have conversations too. And when she like stepped forward when
When
Lucian was
to
about,
leave,
she was like,
mm.
well, because she felt he was like, let me just like tug on this a little bit. Let me just tug on this.
It's a guitar string. He was just like,
yeah.
ding.
She's like, what was that?
Ooh, how was my no-nos on? My doodle. Ooh. But the last two chapters that we are currently cliffhangering on, because we are not well versed at stopping chapters at the right times, is the summer court has been attacked.
And I love that Reese immediately was like,
We can't let him.
let's go.
Like Reese and Feyre were like, we can't let him
Like
defend it
right
by
now,
himself.
we don't care that they have
They-
fucking blood rubies out
I was
for
thinking
us.
about that. They're like, I'm going to show up in the palace. I was like, girl, they're going to kill you on the spot.
I feel like they would know that.
But at the same time, I'm like, this is a good way to, one, get them on your side,
Yeah.
and two,
And say, fuck your blood rubies.
Yeah.
I get you want to kill us, but we did it for a reason. You
Yeah.
see why we did it.
yeah, now this is a good way for, it's a good idea that Sarah J. Maas made it this way so that they can team up
Yeah.
with them, so that they can
Yeah.
be friends.
And Feyre's gonna be like, so sorry, because I did tell you that
There's
you
gonna
would
be
be
a
very
conversation
easy
there,
to fall in love with, and I do mean that. But unfortunately, I fell
It's
in love the
just
hard way,
not for me.
and here I am.
Oh my God, imagine if, like, well, no, they've already met, but maybe if Nesta, like, made bonds with, what's his name?
Well, but
Tarquin.
we know that it's.
We kind of know. You
It could
know
be
more than me.
Elaine.
No, Elaine's gonna fall in love with Lucian. It's already gonna happen.
You are only saying that because you love Lucian.
Just a little bit. He's sacrificing himself for everyone.
You also think he's still working for Tamlin.
I do. I 100% do, actually.
Did we all just see that switch up?
Girl, calm down. Oh, where does this put us now?
I'm just gonna read tonight.
So we are currently on page.
So 350 plus 175.
350.
That's 3, 4, 5. That actually is gonna be 525. You said we're doing 175 pages, so do 175 times 3. Because it wasn't 354. It's 175 plus 175.
I'm just adding the two where we are currently.
Okay, that's not the, okay.
So 529. So we're reading up chapter 59
Okay.
because 529. Oh, actually, no. We'll read up to chapter 58.
Because I'm like, if you do 175 times 3. Oh, but is there
4.
only 2?
I'm going to do 4 chapters.
But this is our second episode. So 3 chapters would be 175 times 3, which is 525.
I don't know what you're doing your math on. I just wanted to break the book up into 4 episodes.
Yeah.
So
I think we're saying the same thing, just different.
differently.
Yeah.
Because that looks about the same as this.
Perfect.
We are reading
So we are reading through 58 or up to 58?
up to 58, so through
Okay.
57. So we're going to read chapter 36 to chapter 58. So through 57.
Through 57.
Just not 58.
Yeah.
So that'll be the next episode, which will be next Monday. And then I think that we'll be finishing this book up for Thanksgiving.
Love it.
It'll be right around, I think that episode will air right around Thanksgiving, actually.
Gobble, gobble.
Mm-hmm. So if you guys are looking for something to do on Thanksgiving, feel free to throw this on. Predictions. Do you think so? I guess my question is, do you think that the war with Hybern is going to happen? Like this is the war happening now? Or do you think that this is just a...
I think this is the first battle in the war.
I'm curious as to how it's going to break out. Like how it's going to break
I
out.
think the war will happen in this book. I think the war will end. Hopefully we're victorious.
Or it could be like Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
And leave us on a cliffhanger.
I guess we'll see.
I mean, I suppose we will.
I mean, they do because I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
There is more to come.
More to come.
Well, like I said, wait, what did I say?
Through 57.
Through 57. Let me just mark that in here so I don't forget. We're going to do this. And this way we'll have it written down somewhere, and then I will attempt to make better notes next time. Okay, so, kids, thanks for watching.
Friends.
Thank you for joining us. Like, subscribe, follow, share, turn those alerts on, because if we do a live, it'll be nice if you guys could join us. If you can't, not a big deal. I mean,
Where are we going to do it live?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe we'll do it somewhere, like at a place.
I meant like what social media?
Probably YouTube, and then we can link it to all of our platforms.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We got time. But I'm Brad.
And I'm Kelsey.
And we're BK Book Club.
Whoop whoop.